What's going on, y'all? Thanks for checking in with Callie. Please like, subscribe if you haven't. So, of course, we all talked about the Clippers' latest loss, but listen to Kawhi Leonard, speak after that game. He really spoke about the biggest difference between the Clippers now and prior to the All-Star break. He really spoke on, why, maybe not 100% why everything is like different with them, but in regards to the playing and who they're missing and what really, makes them tick as a team. And, he spoke on, as you see here, Russell Westbrook. And he blatantly said it. We miss Russell Westbrook because he knows in his heart of hearts, if there's one guy on this team that gives effort every single night and you really never get shortchanged of what he does on the floor, is Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook is not the player he once was offensively. He's not the superstar he once was in general. But Russ is still a valuable piece to a team, especially if he's put in the right situation. And the fact that, Russ has sacrificed his own well-being in regards to being a basketball player, a star player that he was, or he still is a star player to me, but the superstar player that he was, to come off the bench and sacrifice for this team because he wants to win. It says a lot about who he is as a person and his character, but it also says a lot about what he wants to become as a basketball player. And that's a champion. And with that championship mentality, I feel like he fed off a lot of that energy, even being around Kawhi Leonard, because Kawhi is the one on the team who's got the most championships, and just understanding, what it is to be a champion, and understanding in his mind what what his ultimate goal is to top off his career, which is getting a championship. And when you look at Russell Westbrook, every night that you've watched him play, he is like their cheerleader on the sideline. He gives them an energy. He gives them a burst. And, one thing Kawhi Leonard said also is that he's an extra playmaker. He's basically another playmaker on the floor where guys can get easier baskets because he can still get to the rim at times and explode for a dunk or blow past a defender and find, PG or Kawhi in the corner and possibly draw a double team because, Russ is still crazy enough to go up in the air and, posterize somebody. He's still good enough to do that. He still can get off the ground. So it's like when you think about Russ and his energy and what he brings and how he trash talks and how he plays and backs it up, and and he will fight and tussle on defense too. And that's where I think a lot of guys get that energy from, watching Russ play with that type of energy. Guys like Bones Highland, guys like Terrence Mann, they feed off of Russ so much more when he's on the floor because he's in their ear probably all the time. He's probably telling them certain things they need to do to get better, and he's going out there leading by example. Go at the other team's best player, guard anybody that's in front of you with everything you got. You see what I'm saying? Russ has that type of mentality, and when you have a player like that in your locker room, he's always missed on the court because it shows in everybody's gameplay when that player's not around. And that's exactly what's happening to the Clippers. The one thing I've been talking about, the one thing you've been hearing Kawhi, PG, Ty Lue been saying after some of these losses they had, prior to the All-Star break or after the All-Star break has been what? You heard, you've been hearing one word consistently if you listen to a lot of their post games. You've been hearing effort, energy, those type words. And effort is more the word that's been put out there, but also energy. You know what I'm saying? Because with energy and effort, you can get a lot of wins that way. You can win a lot of games off that. It's not really all about who's the more talented. I mean, we saw that the other night against the Atlanta Hawks. Atlanta Hawks didn't have Trae Young. They definitely weren't more talented than the Clippers to win that game. They definitely didn't have more talent on the floor. With Trae Young, they don't have more talent on the floor. So how'd they win that game by 17 points, 20 points? How'd they do that? You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's about, having those type guys go out there and bring that spirit. Because sometimes guys go out there, they play a lot of games. They just feel dead, on the inside. Their legs are tired, weak, mentally they're just not, engaged, something like that. But a guy like Russ holds everybody accountable in that locker room. Like, hey, yeah, we're playing Atlanta Hawks tonight, but let's go out there and let's beat these guys by 20. And Russ will go out there and probably have a 19, 20-point game himself against a team like that. And he'll give out about 6 assists. And, that'll be the difference in beating a team like Atlanta or beating a lot of other teams. And that's the difference with the Clippers. They don't have that guy. They don't have their guy who is the anchor of that. anchor of their energy and their effort. And that's what the Clippers are missing. I'm not saying Russ is the ultimate key to every single thing, the reason why they're not winning, but he is a huge part of the reason why they're not winning, especially if you hear from somebody like Kawhi Leonard, because Kawhi is a champion. He knows what it takes. He knows every team needs that type guy. Everybody needs that vocal type leader who will go out there and put their body on the line and do whatever it takes to win and whatever they need to do. I mean, because he's always had that type of player on any of his other teams. I mean, when you think about Ginobili can come off the bench and give them the Spurs a spark offensively, and he wasn't that great defensively, but he made some decent defensive plays at times, and he made big shots at times to help them win. And he remembers that playing with a player like Ginobili. You know what I'm saying? He remembers those type things. And then on top of that, you know, of course, when he was with the Raptors, he had Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry was like a pit bull type dude, go out there, sacrifice his body, knock down big shots, and, you know, play hard defense as much as he could against the opposing team's point guard. And that was one of the leaders on that team. So Kawhi is always used to having a guy, maybe not so full of energy the way Russell Westbrook is, but definitely a guy that, you know, comes out with that type of leadership and plays with that type of leadership and actually displays it on a consistent basis. And that's what Russell Westbrook is to this team. He's just a little bit more vocal, a little bit more wild, and he's a little bit more athletic than those other players I just named. But he's still, you know, a great player in his own right. And I definitely think they do miss Russ. I really do, because like I said, like Kawhi Leonard said, having that extra playmaker goes a long way, because if you look at how James Harden is a good playmaker, but James Harden gets in these spells where he wants to just step back and shoot threes and try to draw 4-point plays all night, where Russell Westbrook is not trying to do that. Russ is going to take a wide open three. If he's completely wide open, he's going to take somebody off the dribble and look for Kawhi cutting to the basket the way he does. He seems to always find Kawhi on fast breaks, always seems to, you know, get Kawhi easy baskets, always seem to get Paul George easier baskets, because like I said, Russ can push that pace. Another thing Kawhi Leonard said, off the bounce, off the rebound, Russ will grab the rebound. He can get you 6 to 8 rebounds a game as a point guard. Russ, that's another thing Russ brings. He can get you extra rebounds, extra possessions, because he plays bigger than his size. And that's another thing that goes underrated with Russ. So like I said, the other team misses a three-pointer. He gets the rebound. He pushes the pace on the fast break. They're running. They're off to the races for him to throw an alley, throw a lob, whatever, and maybe even find somebody with a no-look pass, or, you know, be blazing and get to the rim himself and score on his own. So, I mean, like I said, he makes a defense of the opposing team think a little bit more, because, like I said, he still is another type scorer on the team, and he brings a different type energy, whereas sometimes when the opposing team second unit comes out, they don't have the type of energy Russ has. So Russ come out with the energy with Bones and hypothetically T-Man and a couple others. The Clippers can either sustain a lead or they can keep scoring at a decent pace, because Russ is going to give them that allowance to do so by the way he plays and the way he carries himself on the court. So, I mean, that makes the Clippers a lot more balanced offensively. And even some defensively, because Russ will guard the hell out of somebody if he has to. He'll definitely try. So, I mean, when you think about that in its entirety, the Clippers are missing a lot. And Kawhi Leonard knows that. And him speaking on that is definitely huge, because prior to the All-Star break, when Russ was around, you know, just, you know, doing the little things, they looked a whole lot better. And like I said, there was games where they were down. They came back and won. There were games where it was tight. They came and delivered. There were games where they dominated, because Kawhi was just playing at an all-time high at that time as well. And they were just a lot more balanced. They really were. You see what I'm saying? So Russ and Norman Powell coming off the bench, that's a lot. That's a huge balance between the bench players and the starters, because you got balanced scoring on the bench with Norman Powell, along with Russ, can possibly have a decent night. Then you got the starters playing the way they're playing. You know, it just makes them a lot better. And that's why I said, you know, when you have that balance of power like that, when one is leaning on the other one, back from the bench to the starters, it just makes everything flow a lot better. And I'm telling you, when Russ comes back and they really get into that kind of sort of rhythm again, if they can catch it in time before, you know, hopefully Russ comes back before the playoffs and they can kind of catch it in time, if possible, then we might see them play the same way they did prior to the All-Star break.